They call them lower thirds because they usually show up in the lower third of the screen and are ordinarily used to identify a person, place, or thing in a video production. Well, this is Digital Juice, and we don't settle for usually or ordinary, so in this episode, I'll have 5 tips for cool and different ways to use lower third animating graphics. No matter what kind of video production you do, chances are you've used a lower third graphic. Viewers are most likely to see lower thirds used by television news organizations to identify people and places. Post-production editors often use them to identify specific objects in a scene or to communicate tidbits of information without disrupting the video above. Because lower third graphics are so useful, Digital Juice has delivered hundreds of them in the Editor's Toolkit libraries. While there are hundreds of different looks, styles, and designs in these libraries, I'm only going to use one lower third in this episode just to prove how versatile a single Juice element can be. So sit back, relax, and take 5 as we explore 5 cool and different ways to use lower thirds. Tip number 1, take it to the top. Use lower thirds as animating title graphics. This is the lower third I'm going to use to demonstrate these tips throughout the entire episode. I picked it because it has a corporate look that I might like to use for my mock presentation. It comes from Editor's Toolkit 6 and comes with an entire superset of matching animating elements, including backgrounds, overlays, wipes, motion design elements, and mats. Of course, this animating lower third looks great positioned down in the lower third position, but it could be used for so much more. Let's grab one of the matching animating backgrounds from that superset and create a quick full-screen graphic for our presentation. First, I'll key it directly over the background and move it up to the top in the title bar position. I think I would like the wider end of the lower third to the right, so I'll just flip or rotate the lower third 180 degrees. Now, add my text, and I have a very professional-looking full-screen animating graphic for my presentation. If you want, you can even color shift your new title bar graphic to further emphasize your title. Because the animations match, the movement and style is similar, and the end result looks great. Tip number 2, glide to the side. Use lower thirds as sidebar accent graphics. Sticking with our corporate presentation project, one thing I'd like to do is place text over a piece of video. But I don't want to necessarily use the lower third in the lower third position, so I turn the tables on this graphic element. With my lower third keyed over my video clip, I use my editing app to rotate the lower third 90 degrees, with the wide end at the top, and move the graphic to the side of the screen. This quickly becomes a great place to anchor text, and it perfectly matches the rest of my presentation. While I'm using the lower third as a sidebar graphic on the left side of my screen, keep in mind you can position these graphics anywhere on the screen and orient them any way that works best for your video clip. Tip number 3, focus eyes and emphasize. Use lower thirds to highlight text or logos. In past episodes, we've talked about using motion design elements to highlight or emphasize text. And using lower thirds to do the same just gives you more options when you sit down to create. Let's make a quick segment title graphic for our Datacom presentation and use the lower third to highlight a piece of text. I'm going to grab another background from our original superset for this segment title graphic. First, I'm going to add my Datacom logo over the background in a central location, then add the segment title text. While this looks okay, I'd like to bring a little more focus to the international data text. I'm going to reposition and resize the lower third so this text lays on top of my lower third. I'd like to have the right end of the lower third highlighter anchored off the screen so the element isn't floating in the background space. Like before, I could shift the color on this element to make it stand out just a bit more. That's pretty cool stuff, huh? Tip number 4, fill her up. Using lower thirds to fill text. We've talked before about using Juice animating elements to fill text, and using lower thirds is no different. Used in moderation, this is a cool way to vary your look throughout a presentation, but keep the integrity of the look intact. Create white text and fill it with the lower third animation. Some of you will be able to do this internally in your editing systems. Just type white text on a black background and use a matte or alpha key. Whatever the process you currently use to fill white text, use the lower third animation as the fill layer for your text. Use this technique in moderation, and it's a great way to expand your creative options. I recommend using this only for larger text and thicker fonts. While you may not want an entire presentation with filled text, it's cool to be able to have the option and create it once in a while. Tip number 5, the texture effect, using lower thirds to add texture to video. Occasionally I use video like I use a background animation, meaning instead of caring about the actual shot, I really just care how it will look if I put a color wash over it or blur it out significantly and use it as a background for text, charts, or other graphics. Let me show you what I mean. I'm going to use this clip as a background in my presentation for a bar graph element. I'll use the first few seconds of the clip as is, and then about 3 seconds in, I'll freeze the clip, dissolve in a blue tinted color wash, and blur the video just a bit. By the way, there are many ways to do the color wash effect on video. One of the easiest ways is to simply lay a solid color clip over the video you want to color wash. Then use your transparency tool to make the clip 50 to 90% transparent. Experiment with this, it can be a pretty cool effect. Now before I add my pie chart graphic, I'm going to lay in several different occurrences of the lower third, rotating a couple, resizing a few of them, and making them 75 to 90% transparent. This adds a bit of movement and texture without being overpowering, so the focus is on the bar graph information right where it should be. You can add this kind of texture effect to video with any kind of digital juice animation. Full screen jump backs, overlays, lower thirds, you name it. Lower thirds are nice when you just want to add texture to a specific area of the video. Let's quickly recap our 5 tips for cool, different uses for lower thirds. Tip number 1, take it to the top. Tip number 2, glide to the side. Tip number 3, focus eyes and emphasize. Tip number 4, fill her up. And tip number 5, the texture effect. Keep in mind, many of the techniques we've covered in this episode can be used with almost any of the elements Digital Juice delivers in our massive libraries. Even more than learning different ways to use lower thirds, I hope this episode motivates all of you to look at the Digital Juice elements in all the libraries a little bit differently. We've learned that a lower third just isn't a lower third. The same holds true for the rest of the elements as well. Use motion design elements as lower thirds and highlighters. Slice and dice jump backs and backgrounds and make your own sidebar graphics or use them to add texture to a video. Pull apart the layers of the static artwork in the Juice Drops library and build your own animations. While all of our elements are incredible quality and ready to use right off the discs, the real magic happens when we build the foundations and you dream up the design and do the rest. That is the true power of the Digital Juice libraries. Until next time, don't forget to balance work and play, and every once in a while, stop and take 5.